Hello, hello. Welcome to the Creators Lounge podcast. My goal is to create a short-term podcast that examines a specific field, such as music production or fashion. My hope is that you will hear something of value and apply that to your own life or your own art form, whatever it may be. This season, we are examining music production, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Creators Lounge podcast. Today, I have a super cool guest with us. He goes by the name of Peach Boi. All right, Peach Boi, tell us about yourself, my man. What's your name? What do you do? Where are you from?
Hey, I am a 20-year-old musician. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, but I'm currently living in Canton, Ohio. My name is Peach Boi. I make a lot of hip-hop, a lot of electronic music, lots of cool vibes for weird kids is my motto.
That is fantastic. Love that. And thank you so much for coming on the show today as well.
Oh, no problem. It's my pleasure.
Peachy, the first question I have for you, my man.
What's that?
How did you get into music production?
Well, I guess it really could be traced back to when I was in middle school. My middle school, we only had Mac computers as like the computers we'd use for computer class or whatever. And a lot of the time, the teacher that I had for computer class was like really lazy. He's like old. He didn't really give a shit. So most of the time, instead of doing whatever we were supposed to be doing with the computers, I would just fuck around on GarageBand, using all those loops and making like just fun little songs. I don't know what happened to those things. They're probably gone forever because I think they wipe the computers every year. But that's where I got my introduction to music production, but I didn't really start taking it seriously until about 2 years ago. That's when I started really doing it professionally, I guess.
Gotcha. That's super cool. So GarageBand was there, and you were like, "Let's just use this."
I was just bored, and it's fun. They got a lot of colors.
Yeah, exactly, man. Just making good use of time, basically.
Could have been doing my schoolwork, but.
So what DAW do you use nowadays?
Still GarageBand, but sometimes I do use Soundation and FL Studio. But for the most part, it's GarageBand.
How interesting, because like I feel like a lot of people like to use the top three, like Ableton, Reason, or FL, but you're like still running on GarageBand.
Those are like $600 man. I ain't got the money for that.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just a man.
That's true. Well, and the important thing is like using what you have, right? So I think you're being efficient with what you have.
I think of myself as like a scrap junker, like from Astro Boy.
So your music's like junkyard music.
Yeah, one man's trash is another man's treasure. I take shitty like pieces of shit and I turn them into art.
100%, man. I get it. So do you use a lot of sampling in your music then?
Absolutely, yeah. 95% of my music is samples, but I do like to compose my own stuff from time to time. But for the most part, I use a lot of loops and samples.
That's so cool. Actually, it's interesting because I've listened to your music. I didn't notice that it was actually just sample based.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. For real.
I didn't think that was
So nice going on that, man. Nice going.
No, thanks.
But I think that's something that's interesting because I feel like artists who use a lot of sampling, I feel like they're still artists. I don't think that takes away from the fact that they are a musical producer.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think I've got varied opinions on this, but for the most part, like I can't remember who said it, but some guy once said that like art is basically just stealing from something else and making it better. So I mean, there is a difference between like sampling and like straight up plagiarism, but for the most part, I think like what I do specifically is I like to cut things up and like really put my own mark on whatever sample or loop I'm using at the time. And I think that's what really makes it art.
And make it your own, basically.
Yeah, that's what makes it different from what it was,
Yeah, I totally get that, man. Do you think that sampling has become more common in like later generations as compared to older generations?
With the advent of like this, with like home computers and like everybody's got like their own DAW now. Even everybody like can just download Audacity or whatever, and they can cut up and sample whatever they want. And even if you go on YouTube and just search like whatever, some like a Drake type hip hop beat or whatever, you're gonna find like 95% of those guys just use like loops from websites like Looperman and places like that, because it's really easy to make, because you can just take like a couple of those different things and just make like a really, really simple beat that you would want to, I don't know, sell to some rappers.
Yeah, I totally get it. That's an interesting point you said, and it's something I've noticed as well, because like initially a lot of people associate sampling with hip hop. However, it's not exactly the case anymore, because we have genres like future funk, genres like vaporwave, genres like lo-fi, and all of those are largely focused around sampling.
I think some people would argue that vaporwave itself is kind of just like, some vaporwave at least is just like straight up thievery, because a lot of the times what like if you go on SoundCloud and search like vaporwave, just whatever, some of the songs, like most of the songs are like original and they are like samples or whatever, but like some of the songs you're gonna get are like I remember I was listening to a vaporwave mix one time, and like just Redbone by Childish Gambino came up, but it was like slowed down like halfway, and they were like, oh, this is my new vaporwave song, and it's it's pretty commonplace actually to just see like people be like, oh, I gotta ride this vaporwave. And they'll release like a song that's just like a slowed down version of like some 80s song, and it's like looped for like 5 minutes.
Gotcha. And you're not a fan of that, is that correct?
I love vaporwave, but I hate laziness. If you don't have the passion to put like real honest work into your music, why bother?
Yeah, and that's true. I guess the thing for me is like, how do you draw the line between laziness and creativity, you know?
You can usually tell. I think a good example is actually one of my songs that I released on SoundCloud. It's called, I think, It's Your Future Funk or something. It's just this one sample from It's Your Move by Diane Ross, the vaporwave anthem. But like it's not that one. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. That one is straight up laziness. I didn't try really hard on it, but it was just a fun little sound that I came up with, and I just put it on my SoundCloud as like is whatever. It's just a little fun project. I don't treat that as if that's a real piece of music that I've created. That's just like, here's this fun thing that I did. It's whatever.
If you enjoy it, then enjoy it. Yeah. No, I get what you mean, man. Tell me a little bit about your samples. What kind of samples do you like to use in your music?
I'm a big fan of the synth. Any kind of synth instrument I'm really into. I love analog bass. I use a lot of gospel samples, even though I don't listen to gospel music. I'll just, like, when I'm scrolling through Instagram or whatever, I'll find these little like snippets of Soul Train or something, and I'll be like, ooh, wow, I really like that riff, and I'll just like cut that riff and do what I want with it, turn it into, put it like, make it part of my song.
Love that creativity, man. Love that creativity. I think another thing to point out about samples that's really cool is the fact that producers are able to like put a part of their identity into the music through stuff that they grew up with, or stuff that influenced their sound, whatever it may be. I know that for myself personally, like I grew up listening to like Japanese music, like older Japanese music, and so whenever I hear future funk, like it takes me back to those days.
And like
the nostalgia.
That 80s Japanese funk.
Exactly. Yeah. And like it just takes me straight back, and it's like,
that stuff's wild.
Exactly, man. It's totally nostalgic. I think that's what's cool about it. Another thing that I find interesting about samples is that it can really open people's ears to music they don't originally like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially with what's that? What's the song? The vaporwave anthem. It's or beach walk something or other. That one opened me up to Diane Ross, because I didn't really know who Diane Ross was. I know like my grandma talked about her sometimes, and I'd heard some of her songs.
It's like a name that you hear, but you don't actually know the music, right?
Yeah. Once I heard that song, and I like learned that it was previously a Diane Ross song. Once I heard It's Your Move, I was like, oh shit, this is a fucking this is a fucking banger. This song's got great energy, and Beach Walk 420 totally changed the energy and the feel of that song. Like, it has a more lucid feel to it than in Diana Ross's song. It's very, it's very clear cut, and it's not as nostalgic, I suppose. It's like that song lives in the now. Whenever you're listening to it, that lives in the now, while Beach Walk sort of lives in the back of your head, if you know what I'm saying.
Dude, that's a fantastic explanation of it. I love that. That's the beauty of music, right? Is being able to exhibit different feelings and arouse different emotions in the listener.
Even with some of the exact same sounds.
Exactly, right? Same sound, different feeling. Yeah, 100%. I think so one person we have to mention here is Kanye West, because Kanye West is quite famous for his use of sampling.
Oh yeah.
And he's someone who's really been able to open people's ears to other music through his samples, because he does a lot of soul sampling from soul songs, sampling from 70s songs, and I know that a lot of my friends, they got into that kind of music after hearing Kanye sample it. So that's the power of sampling, opening people's ears. Talk to me a little bit about the amount of music that you create.
I am very bad at keeping a schedule when it comes to making music. I remember there was one time where for a whole week, I remember I made a song every day. And I posted that on my SoundCloud. That tape is now, of course, privated because it's just fucking god awful. But for like when I can't force myself to make music. I can persuade myself to make music, but when the moment comes where I have to put this sound on this track specifically, or when I get the idea in my head that this song needs to be made, then I will do it. But for the most part, I can't really force myself to make a song. So it just kind of comes and goes. There's never it's not healthy, but there's never really consistent stream of music that I make.
Is that something you want to change about yourself, or is it something that you've just accepted?
For now, I'm accepting it, but I'm really I'm only 2 years into this. I'm still basically a beginner, so I just want to learn my craft more before I just want to learn it and perfect it, so that when I do start forcing myself to make music every day, then I'll be in a more comfortable position, and I feel like once that happens, I'll be able to get more quality stuff out of the daily routine.
Totally get that. Yeah. Well, and I think the reason that I ask this is because everybody has a different relationship with music. So there's some artists who can create music every day, and they never get tired of that. There's other people who they do a song in a month, next month nothing, and so it's interesting to me to look at different types of creativity that exist and how it affects the musician, especially because I feel like the business side of this stuff and the music side of this stuff really gets mixed at this point.
Yeah, it's dude, oh my god, you have no idea. It's so shit. The music and the especially in my field of existence, which is predominantly hip hop. It's fucking stupid. The business and the music are often meshed together in this amalgamation. Have you ever seen The Thing?
No, but I know about it. The classic horror film, yeah.
Where the two guys, their faces meld together.
And that's kind of what happens with music and business, right?
Yeah, that's the kind of what's going on with hip hop right now. It's just this weird amalgamation of two different faces, and they're both just fucking crying out in agony. And that's kind of what I would explain. That's kind of how I perceive the hip hop game right now.
What's interesting to me is that for me personally, that's all right for me, because within myself originally, I have both a business sense and a music sense. And so being able to combine that for my own career is not a problem. But for you, is it more difficult to balance those?
I don't have a problem with the business side. I can and I do it. But I think when I'm in the headspace of hey, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna create this song, I'm not thinking about, ooh man, I hope this song makes me $1 million. I'm just I want to make some good music that some people would like to listen to.
The thing that I tell people is that the music is from me and the marketing is for the fans. If that makes any sense at all,
Yeah, exactly. That makes perfect sense.
Because when I'm creating, I don't want to be thinking in terms of I'm gonna make this person happy. I'm gonna make this person happy because I feel like my authenticity is what's sacrificed in that situation.
Exactly. And if you lose your authenticity, that's it. That's all you have as an artist. All you have is you. So if you try to make music to appease a certain group, it's gonna sound like shit 9 times out of 10, unless of course you're just a lyrical genius or just a musically gifted person.
At that point, I feel like you're not a musician anymore. You're just a product, or you're just a business person.
Yeah, you're just creating a product. Yeah. I had this argument, a very similar one with my friend just a couple of weeks ago when Drake released his last album. And he was arguing to me that like, oh, this Drake, it's really good. He's saying a lot of stuff that like, it's good music. And I said, it may be listenable music, but it's not art. It's a product. Because whether or not, it's a 300-minute long album. So you can't really like look at it objectively and say Drake really needed to release a 300-minute long album. It's very clear he released that to up his stream numbers on Spotify and Billboard to make $1 million fucking dollars.
How interesting. So you're not a big fan of Drake then?
I think he is a sore on the music community, and I hope he stops making music.
Oh, that would make me very sad.
You like Drake?
To be honest, man, I got into him back in 2011, whenever he was just starting off with albums like So Far Gone, and so to watch his rise from like underground to mainstream has been super cool for me as a fan personally.
I can understand that. I just think like recently, he's always been on like the teeter-totter edge of like art and like product, but I think recently he has just fallen into the, like, you remember, did you see The Last Jedi?
I did not watch it.
There's this one scene where Rey is like, she's like looking over like this hole, and this like deep dark hole like represents like the dark side. I think in the middle of that right now is Drake and Scorpion.
Fantastic comparison there. That's super interesting to me, honestly, because we have different opinions about this because we have different viewpoints on Drake. To me, I view Drake as a very emotional person, and so that's why I feel like his music is a little bit more authentic. But obviously, for someone else, that could have a different opinion, which is totally fine. The other thing to point out here is that Drake's label he's signed to, right? Cash Money, isn't it Cash Money that he's on?
I think it's Young Money.
Young Money, there we go. Yeah, which of course consists of like Lil Wayne, Drake, and Nicki Minaj. I feel like all three of those people are, like we're talking about, people who have a very strong business sense, but they're also musicians.
I think Lil Wayne specifically has started, at least in the past couple of years, has started leaning more towards the art and like the music side. He hasn't released like a groundbreaking project in a little while, but a lot of his features that he does on other songs are actually really good considering. Like, have you listened to his feature on Flower Boy?
Oh yeah, I heard that one. Solid stuff, really solid.
Yeah, that one was some serious like artsy shit. It was very like loosey goosey, but it all flowed.
Do you think that happened because he was working with Tyler, the Creator?
Possibly, but Tyler has never been really like at least until Flower Boy, he's never been like a artsy kind of guy. He was always like kind of like the weirdo rapper, and he liked a lot of weird colors and liked to draw his own cover art.
Sure, but I feel like that itself is pretty artsy already, isn't it? Like even with the Goblin release, like that wasn't like, that's not standard hip hop, or that's not like mainstream hip hop.
It's always been weird and out there, but I don't think like he's really realized his true sound until Flower Boy, and I think Lil Wayne definitely caught that wave, and they made a great track together. It long, but it's really good.
So beyond the rappers we're talking about right now, like who do you think are the best rappers in the game right now?
My personal favorite right now is this group is disbanded, but Outkast, they're my favorite. They released my second favorite album of all time. But I think skill wise, who's modern, who's right now, Ski Mask, the Slump God. No one does flows like that guy. Like he's got these super ultra fast like staccato rhymes going on and these crazy schemes, and like everyone seems to just be passing him up. and I don't know why, because he's got some true talent. And he's like making some really good art while also appealing to this like hype beast trap crowd.
Gotcha. So he's doing a really good job of balancing the business and the music, you feel like?
I think he's doing a really good job of that, and I don't think people are giving him enough credit.
We can't pass up this opportunity because we talk about Ski Mask, and obviously, he runs in the same circles a lot of other up-and-coming rappers right now, such as Lil Pump or Trippie Redd. How do you feel about the new wave of rappers?
Some of them are good, some of them are not, but that's what happens when you discover a new genre or a new facet of a genre. Like with grunge, there was some good grunge bands, Nine Inch Nails, there was Nirvana, but there was also some really shitty ones like Creed and fucking Nickelback. I mean, objectively, that's just my opinion. I know there's somebody out there who like
right, exactly.
But I think it really comes and goes. Like Lil Pump, I think when it comes to like the flex trapper or whatever, he's the best. And I think it's him, Ski, and like Lil Uzi who are like really like they're really like making a statement, and they're like from the SoundCloud scene, I suppose.
Right.
They're the only ones like really like making a statement or making some good music. Lil Pump it's a very controversial opinion that I like Lil Pump, but I like him for a very specific reason. He knows exactly what his audience is, and he knows exactly how to deliver on that. And at the same time, he makes some like I can listen to a Lil Pump song and not be like, well, this is garbage. I'd be like, oh shit, Gucci Gang, I get it, Lil Pump, I'm with you.
Super interesting. Who are a few of the rappers that you're not liking too much from the new wave?
There's this one kid, my mom and my sister went to go see him in concert recently. His name's Juice WRLD.
Yes.
I feel like, I don't like him a lot right now, but I feel like his style, if he concentrates on his music a little more, I think he'll actually like grow into something special, into like something that people really like want to listen to. Another controversial one, XXXTentacion. I don't like him.
Do you not like him because of the music, or do you think it's like a personal thing, man?
It's a little bit of both, honestly. I don't really like. I remember there was the one song of his that I truly was like, oh, hey, this is actually kind of good. Was his whatever? I can't remember his last track, but his last track on a Ghetto Christmas Carol.
Was it Sad?
No, not Sad. Not.
Okay.
Oh God, no. But he was doing something at the end of a Ghetto Christmas Carol. If you look it up on SoundCloud, the last track, I think that's the only track where I see him trying to really try to improve like the sound of his music, and he's trying to like go in like a different direction. He's got like these crazy guitars going on in the back, and it's like a lot of weird filters he's got on it, and like phasers. It's crazy. Yeah, that's the only one I can remember that I like sat down and was like, huh, this has actually got, some promise. It's got some premise to it. But we're not going to see any more of that nowadays.
Yeah, sadly, rest in peace. Definitely a lot of respect to him. So for you, it's a little bit of a mix of both personal and also professional stuff.
Well, I think he's a bad person, or he was a bad person. And he never really apologized for it, and I get why some people can attach to that kind of mentality, but me personally, I can't fuck.
Do you think that age plays a part in that at all?
No, not at all. You can be a fuck like that. You remember that Yodel kid, the Yodeler kid?
Yep.
Who was at Coachella this past year?
He
was awesome.
Coachella?
I want to see him. I want to
That's fantastic. Good for him.
He was on stage with Post Malone. It was hilarious. He released an EP a little while ago, which wasn't. It's country, so it's obviously polarizing, but it wasn't terrible. He's a competent singer. He knows where his strengths are. He knows what he's doing, and he's 10 years old. So age really, it has nothing to do with how good your music can be.
Could you give a few reasons? Why do you think that, on a whole, across like the nation, I guess the world as well, why do you think that the new wave of rappers both appeals and does not appeal to audiences?
Damn, I have zero clue. I have no idea, and it's so far spread. Like even if you go right now to whatever your local country station is, within the first 10 minutes you will hear a set of trap hi-hats going, anywhere, on any radio station on any given day, except for NPR, you will hear those trap hi-hats, and I don't get it. It doesn't fit anywhere else except for this one genre. And I don't understand why everyone's using it. It's like a bubble, but it can't be a bubble because it's been going on for the past like 2 or 3 years, so it's like a real thing, and I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't know why. I mean, I like it and I'm with it, but I don't understand why it has such an appeal to everyone, to just about everyone.
Yeah, it is. It's super interesting, man. And I don't know like what to look at there, because is it a cultural change? Is it a social change? Is it a mental thing? It's hard to say, but no, definitely. And I think that happens throughout time, right? Like there's different styles of music or different instruments that gain popularity for a certain era.
Disco.
Exactly. I was gonna say like disco, because like
disco's dead, but it was huge.
It was, for sure.
It was the biggest thing in music.
And one thing I think of is the fact that like synthesizers merging from the late 70s into like the 80s and to the 90s. Like that's whenever synthesizers really rose, and they won't confine to one genre. It went across all genres, whether it was rock, disco, pop, or whatsoever.
I think that is a little different, because I think that's more a convenience thing, because synthesizers are definitely much more convenient than a real instrument, like a real piano or what have you. And also it's total freedom to do just about whatever you want with it, because like even in GarageBand you can just grab like a simple synth and then you can play with it and make it your own. It doesn't, like, anyone can make their own instrument now because of synthesizers.
So that's more of a focus than on like the instrument itself and how it changed music.
Yeah.
Alright guys, let's take a small break from the interview and listen to some of Peach Boi's music. This song is his newest single dropped on SoundCloud, entitled Vaporwave. Enjoy.
Lonely since day one, never really wanna just say something. Can't never really get a beat on it, but when it makes the kitchen y'all whack, motherfuckers better stay done. Tryna play dumb, when it counts better bounce, better say something. I don't want to, 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 I don't want to. I understand you're trying to stop my flow, you'll be disappointed though, cause I don't wanna tell myself. I understand you're trying to stop my flow, you'll be disappointed though, cause I don't wanna tell myself. Filters on filters on filters to get to me, I'll fix this shit irrevocably. I rip these rhymes past any prodigy, ain't no one else stopping me. Bastard, 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 that's the voices in my head, they tell me. Plastic, 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 that's all these rhymes they can sell me. Sick of always being the oddball, sick of being lone, I feel awful. My whip faster, using all four. Most days I sit and wonder who this all for. By myself, the fuck ain't no one called for. Best in the game, but still ain't had no tour. I'll be lucky to see my face on a poster.
I'm gonna talk a little bit now, because we talked a little about like the inspirations, your tastes and preferences in music. What is your own personal vision for your music?
It's pretty simple. I want people to see who I am through, well, I guess not see, but I want people to hear who I am through my music, and my hope is that people will like it enough to listen to it.
Right, gotcha. Do you think that you'll be doing music as a career in the future?
Absolutely. That's what I'm striving for. I mean, I'm working at this every single day. So I mean, I'd hope it'd become a career.
Are you aiming, like, what kind of mark are you aiming for, man? Are you aiming for like the mainstream success, or looking for more of the underground, or does it not really matter to you at all?
It doesn't really matter, because I don't know. I have no clue I've got an idea of who my music appeals to, but I don't know. I feel like I'm doing something a little out there, a little unorthodox, and I don't really know exactly where my audience is yet. I don't know who likes my music. I'm just making music for the sake of because I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that you and me both agree on this. If you're staying true to yourself, you're gonna find find your place. You're gonna find your market. You know?
Yeah. Somebody will like your stuff. I mean, there's people out here who are still making like Beastie Boys, Run DMC type tracks, and there's an audience for that. There's people who are like, yes, that's what I want.
Dude, 8 billion people in the world. There's gonna be someone out there, who can vibe with your stuff.
Somebody's gonna just listen to your music and be like, oh shit, that is the bomb. This is my jam.
And because of the internet, like it's easier than ever to put the music out there for people to find.
I think we definitely, a lot of musicians and producers these days take that for granted.
Really?
Like a lot of people will be like, oh man, my music isn't doing like so good or whatever. And it's like, you have an opportunity. You have the entire world literally at your fingertips, as long as you have an internet connection, of course, which most people do. But for the most part, you've got the entire world at your fingertips. If you think like you're like, I remember for a long time, I was really into, the Higher Brothers.
I'm not familiar with them.
They're a Chinese rap group. And they're fucking awesome. I love them so much. They're just, I can't understand a single fucking word that they're saying, but I still love their music.
That's fantastic. I think that's something that's we've really seen within the last 10 years is the way that foreign music has really come into the American audience's realm and the European audience's realm. Stuff like K-pop has really blown up over the last 5-10 years. Like you're talking about, Chinese music has blown up, Japanese music has blown up. Are you into any of that kind of stuff? Any foreign music?
Really, when it comes to foreign music, it's kind of just like the record label 88 Rising. They're like a transcontinental like Asian.
They have Joji is signed to them.
Higher Brothers.
Yeah.
They're part of that. They're part of that record label. Same with like Joji and Rich Brian or whatever. That's about as foreign as I get. I mean, it's not that I don't go out of my way to listen to foreign music. That's the only stuff that really that's really the only stuff that appeals to me.
Right, gotcha.
K-pop is too weird for me. The people who like, first of all, the K-pop, the singers are in those K-pop groups. They're slaves. They're corporate slaves, and it's awful. They work those fucking kids to death. Like they're straight up, man. They're working like 18-hour shifts, no breaks, and they're just running through whatever dances or whatever songs that they have to do. It's insane, their work ethic.
Yeah, the work ethic. But that's what I was gonna say. Actually, is we can't tell for sure if that's a personal choice or someone's forcing them to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like if they're happy working that 18-hour day, then like good for you. Keep doing it.
Work an 18-hour day doing music, like just that, but like that's like an everyday thing, and like there's so much pressure on you because like the whole appeal of K-pop is like this group, everything they do is perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Everything they do is planned in advance, and it's like there's so much like thought that goes into it, and like it's like what they do is good and it's cool. And I can enjoy it, but it's just it's a little too much, I guess, stimulation,
Sure. And I think what also may be at play here, bro, is like the culture difference, because I think the obsession with perfection is something that's kind of unique to like the Korean culture, whereas like for Western audiences, it's very different. So let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. I want to talk a little bit about your process, my man.
Okay.
How do you start making a song?
I just every time I start, I have a reason to start. I don't really like stumble into the studio or whatever. I'm always like I go into my DAW or whatever, and I know exactly, or I have a basic idea of what I want to create, and I'll always 100% of the time I will always start with the drum beat, with the drums or just like whatever percussion, because because that's kind of like, for me, that's like the drums or the percussion or the legs, if you know what I'm saying.
Gotcha. So like the rhythm is the legs for the song. What's the head for the song? What's the body for the song?
The body, it can be a whole bunch of different things, but for the most part, what I use, that's like the body. It's a combination of the bass and like a lead synth or a guitar or something that contrasts with the bass.
That really makes sense, actually, because like rhythm or drums, like those are what like they constantly move throughout the song, right? Like the kick's always going every 4 steps, and that kind of aligns with the way that we walk and use our legs. That's a fantastic comparison. What part of the music process gives you the most trouble, my man?
Definitely 100% the lyrics. I hate writing lyrics. It's the worst because I'm really conscious about what I say. I always think before I speak, and so when I'm in the studio, like writing something down, I'll always be like, oh wait, is that really what I want to say? Could I phrase this better? And then like I'll be like, oh yeah, that's fine. And then when I go to record it, when I hear the words coming out of my mouth, I'm like, oh, this is shit, this is awful. And then I'll have to go back and rewrite it. I remember one song on my album, In My Lane, took me an entire year to write because I wrote that song like 8 times. Wow. I had no idea. Every time I wrote it and I spit it, I was like, "This is garbage. I need to start from scratch again." It was the most arduous and irritating process I think I've ever been through when it comes to music production.
Crazy. So, in terms of lyrics, you're somewhat of a perfectionist, I guess.
Quality over quantity is my motto.
Do you think that perfectionism is a blessing or a curse to music producers?
It depends, really. If you got the patience for it, then it's a blessing. But if you don't have the patience for it, you're gonna have a really, really, really bad time.
Right. And I think it's interesting as well, you mentioned that you're always thinking about, is this how I want to present myself? Is this what I want to say? And I think it's similar as well for just culture in general these days, because we all want to make sure we're not offending someone or, we're not saying the wrong thing. Do you think that's either a good thing or a bad thing when it comes to art?
I don't think, like, if you're, like, the reason that I take so much time in expressing, who I am through my music is because I want to make sure that the most honest representation of myself is put forth, or at least that you can honestly understand what I'm saying. Even in my whatever trap banger songs 100 on it. It's like I'm not like none of that. Obviously, none of the shit that I say in my raps is true. But I'm trying to project it I guess like a drawing, like I'm trying to draw myself with words. And I think if you're always concerned about offending someone, with your music, literally anything that anyone says can be taken as offense in some regard. Really, I don't really concern myself with offending people, and I don't concern myself with not offending people. I'm just making music, If somebody takes offense to it, it's I'm sorry. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right, and as long as your intentions are good, right? Like, your intention is to express yourself, so there's really no reason why it should bother someone, right? So
right, yeah, unless of course I'm making a song about how much I hate a specific person.
Right. An ex-girlfriend or something.
Yeah, then yes, I do want that person to be offended.
Right, which is what Taylor Swift made a career off of, right? So
exactly,
no problems.
What's she up to nowadays?
I'm not sure. I think she's
still writing songs about Kanye West.
You know what, man? Whenever that happens to you could probably make a whole career off of it. So, but anyway, actually, I want to talk about Kanye, but I don't think we have much time to get into that.
Well, let's try it.
We could, real quick. Well, you talked about Drake earlier, right? And Drake is someone who puts out a large quantity of music. He puts out several songs a year. Kanye as well. Kanye is someone who's very prolific. He puts out a lot of music. He has ever since the early 2000s, with Late Graduation and all that kind of stuff. What do you think about Kanye in terms of his the amount of music he puts out, how good it sounds, and the quality of it? What do you think about all of that? Despite
the kind of person you may think he is, 100% of the time he is always concerned about making good music. He gets a little crazy. He is a wild card for sure, but one thing you can always count on him for is he's going to make the best music that he possibly can. And he does it so often, and I think that's why he's nuts, because he puts so much thought and effort into all of his music, and he, unlike a lot of other rappers, he actually produces most, or if not all, of his own music, which it's unheard of nowadays. You don't see a whole lot of people doing that now, but
And that makes sense because Kanye began as a music producer making beats, so it's cool that he's able to stay in that kind of headspace. Would you say that you enjoy his music or not so much? His more recent stuff.
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't listened to whatever his last project was called.
I Hate Being Bipolar. It's awesome.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
Yeah, that one. Haven't listened to it, but I mean, for the most part, like all of his other music, I have zero problems with it. He's always trying to do something new, which I can appreciate. And sometimes it falls flat, sometimes it doesn't. It's a hit or miss. He's concerned about the art, and I can appreciate that. And I enjoy a lot of his music, like Gold Digger, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. That's a great song. Like most of Graduation is excellent, but I would consider myself a Kanye fan. Actually, yeah, my personal Instagram tag is Kanye is Jesus. So
so there we go.
I would say
definitely a fan. Yeah.
All right, guys, another music break. This time the song is called "In My Lane." It's from Peach Boi's recent album, "Is This Art?" Give it a listen.
But she ain't in my lane. Pulling all the numbers, you can see it on the chain. Patron on the rocks, yeah, you still ain't in my lane. Got a lot of 40s hanging around, yeah, but they ain't in my lane. Slurping on her insides, but she ain't in my lane. Pulling all the numbers, you can see it on the chain. Patron on the rocks, yeah, you still ain't in my lane.
I'm an oversexed, uneducated individual, and all the shit seems residual. I look at it all wrong, and I am way too cynical. I look at my love, and it's plentiful. Forgot the last word, I never sent it all. She say she hit me back, but I never gotta call it all. Everything is important, I keep on teaching myself, and I'm keeping my prayers. Seeing my future soothsayer, I'm rocking, living on a prayer. I don't fuck with haters, I roll in with other players. Yeah, right, the best that I can hope for is a job as a waiter. Man, he's out of control, fuck. With that kind of energy, you could run in the polls. Fine, I guess it's time for a schism. I'm entering a cataclysm. You could have titled this narcissism, been on back wanting division.
Got a lot of 40s hanging around, yeah, but they ain't in my lane. Slurping on her insides, but she ain't in my lane. Pulling all the numbers, you can see it on the
All right, man. We're gonna go into the last section. It's just random questions, like just spitfire, answer as fast as you can. You know, just some fun stuff.
Ready.
Okay. How do you feel about social media?
Too prevalent in our culture.
What's your favorite social media?
Instagram. Instagram, it sucks, but it's the best one out of the bunch.
Instagram is the most popular one for right now. What do you think the next social media to blow up is going to be?
I don't know. Maybe Vine too, if it does well. If it kicks off pretty good. I don't know. Probably not, but
So something video focused then.
I think it's something a little more video focused. Either that or Twitter is just gonna explode. Once Twitter figures out how they work, then I think people will start to use it.
Again? Like I feel like Twitter already had its heyday back in the early 2010s.
I think it's up for another run because I mean with our president who's always on Twitter, and his tweets are now taken. They're like in the professional real live archives of the government. They track all of his tweets. So, and I think that's going to be a thing throughout the rest through at least for at least another decade. Is Twitter is going to be used like at least in government for important announcements or what have you.
That'd be cool if a social media like re-exploded all over again. Like you said with Vine, if Vine Part 2, that'd be crazy. But it's definitely possible. Okay, what is your favorite food?
Favorite food? Lasagna.
What is your favorite weekend activity?
Probably going airsofting just with my buddies. I like to airsoft a little bit. It's a fun sport. There's nothing wrong with airsofting, I know.
Favorite color?
Pink.
What countries do you want to visit?
I would like to visit Japan, Kazakhstan, and Cambodia.
What languages do you speak?
Speak English and Ebonics.
All right, man. That was an incredible episode, guys. And thank you so much for listening. Peachy, thank you for coming on today, man. We had some great discussion today.
Oh, no problem. Love to come back.
See
dude, is there any last things you want to say to the audience listening? Any last words?
Be yourself and buy my album, Is This Art? On all streaming on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, but it's not on YouTube yet. I'm still working.
All right, fantastic. All right, Peachy Boi, you guys, you've got to check him out. Dope stuff. He's got a lot of creative stuff coming at you soon and right now. We will talk to you guys later. Thank you and bye.